everyone, welcome to Delta Motivations Podcast. Thank you so much again for clicking that button to have a look at this video. Now, today we are going to focus on stress. We're going to focus on how to deal with stress, who goes through stress, and how you can kind of get around it. I'm not going to say get rid of stress, and there's a reason why. I'm going to come back to that. Before I get started, please press that subscribe button. Get all the notifications. You can find me on all of the social media platforms under Delta Motivation. That's DELTAR Motivation. And I would really appreciate your follow. Alright, let's get into it. Stress. Stress is natural. I want to put it out there. Stress is a natural occurrence that we go through during our flight or fight response. It's something that we've had for generations. We've had since caveman evolution. It's helped us survive. So before, like I said, I don't want to say get rid of stress. So if you're looking at this and say, how do I get rid of all my stress? It's impossible. But we can manage it. We can identify the triggers. And we can move things around to make stress copable. That's what I want you to realize to start off with. This is not a simple do this and stress is gone approach. It's not. Stress is different for everybody. And I want to make that absolutely clear that this is not a video. This is not a podcast on getting rid of all stress. It's how to deal with it. Stress is something that happens within our body when we see a scenario that is out of our control. When we see something or experience something like a natural disaster, a loss of a loved one, work-related, even just social life. It's things that are out of our control, and our body reacts in a way which releases some chemicals. Now, those chemicals go around in our body and actually increase our heart rate, they increase our perspiration, they increase our blood pressure, and it causes us to feel that danger response. Now, that feeling can be used in a good way and a bad way. They can be experienced during times of good. So, a wedding, for instance, being nervous and stressful about the day, being the unknown. That is a good level of stress. That is something that it is the next step in your life that you're taking, and you are proud to be stressful. You are thinking, well, this is future. What can I do? How can I cope with this? But that stress is good. That's something that once it's done, you get that relief feeling. You get that, yeah, that's right. I am doing the right thing. I am marrying the right person. I am doing everything that I need to be doing. And you overcome that. And that breathing, relaxing feeling is what good stress is. That's how you know it's good stress. That's how you know you've worked hard. Maybe you're studying. Maybe you're working at a difficult job. And you've got that breathe, I've done it moment. That is good stress. You might be needing to meet a deadline. It might be an assignment that's due that you've just crammed and studied and gone, yeah, I've done it. I've got the results I wanted. That is good stress. So if you are a student, if you are experiencing work-related stress or social stress, I want you to understand that there are levels of good stress that you are wanting in life. You actually want to struggle. Please understand that stress is around, and we need that. We need that stress because it forces us to do the activity that we're dreading almost. You don't want to do that assignment, but that stress that your body goes through goes, no, this needs to be done. And without that, we're a bit blasé with things and we don't meet deadlines. We don't do things that we needed to do. Now, when that stress is used on a daily basis, it can become detrimental because you're overloading a system. You've actually gone too much now. You're always in that state of, I gotta run. And that can be too much for the body to handle. So when I mentioned before about getting rid of stress and we can't do that, this is where I want to look at. It's not getting rid of that fight or flight response on that heartbeat and adrenaline and blood pressure buildup and everything like that. It's not that. It is the management of that level of stress. And that comes with, first, identifying your triggers. I am a big believer of research. You need to know everything about yourself. No one else should. It's your body, it's your life. You should be the one in control. You should know the most about it. So the research comes into this about the triggers. What is triggering your stress? And if it is something that is external or internal. Let's start with external. That is out of our control. Someone has given us an assignment to do. Someone has given us work to do, or extended the time, or made the time earlier for us. They're things that are out of our control. Maybe your house has got a hole in it now, or the roof is leaking, or someone's crashed into your car. All those little things cause that external stress. You're there living your life and something else has happened. Can you minimize those risks? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. And you can do that by understanding the outcome. So your triggers may be external and say everything out is happening around my body. Everything else is happening to me. But there's different ways to look at things. If your car is stolen, looking at that and going, well, I'm never going to get my car back. That was the, oh my God, best car I've ever had. And that will cause your stress. That thought process of, I'm never getting it back. Oh my God, what if this happens now? What if I can't get a job? What if I... That will build your stress. Now, to minimize that, it's the logic of, all right, my car is stolen and I can have an hour or two of despair. It's like, what the hell? What the hell just happened? But we get back to, all right, I need to call the insurance company. I need to find out what I need to do. I need to ring my work and let them know that this has happened. Because if we realize that there are things we can do to minimize that stress, we can actually find out the end result. We can actually find out, okay, this car has been stolen, I've got my insurance involved, and now they're going to give me a new car or a rental, which means that I can actually get to work and do... You need to find out the solution. That way your stress can be managed. You need to take control. It's not sitting there in self-pity and looking around going, oh my God, I can't believe my car is stolen, and waiting for life to turn around and go, oh, well, now you've won the lottery. It's not that. It is finding the solution to the problem. And that comes with understanding what your triggers might be. Maybe you are worried about things being stolen. Maybe you are worried about your belongings. So how can you back them up? Well, I can put them in a safe. I can put them somewhere that's special. I can get the insurance company involved. I can give it to other people. That will help your stress. Actually finding the solution to the problem and start doing. Now again, when I talk about study and stress, it's important to realize that stress is a part of your studying. You need it. I watched a podcast, this was probably last year, I'd say, about the stress monster. What happens is that our body goes through and we have to write papers, we have to complete assignments, and we're not stressed about it. It's like, we've got 10 weeks, it's fine, I'll get it done, I know I will. There's those people out there that will set aside a time and will actually plan and do their assignment in a week. Yep, I'm going to do it, I'm going to get in early, I'm going to finish it, but that is a level of stress that you put your body under. That's normal. If we had 10 weeks and you've done it in the first week, you've put yourself under that situation where you need to complete it by that time. Even if you want to complete it within the 10 weeks, that is still a stressful time. It is different. It fluctuates for everybody. But that is your stress time. Between 0 weeks and 10 weeks for when it's due, you've done the work. And there's those people who, like myself, may leave it to the last week and cram everything. That is a level of stress. Because without that stress, without that heightened sense of adrenaline and push, we don't finish what we need to finish. We need to finish this to pass. So those stresses are important. To manage those, like I mentioned before, it is potentially, instead of finishing in the last week, make it that to put your body under that pressure and lift it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this and say, well, how do I manage my study stress and my work stress? And it is that overtime period. To manage that is time. Sometimes you don't get that. So a deadline's been changed or something and you can't negotiate out of it. And that happens. So please understand that those stresses are okay. I guarantee you are not doing that on a daily basis. You're not having those external stresses happening on a daily basis. This happens potentially once a month, maybe a bit longer. I'd say. For me, I'd say once every 3 months, something stressful happens that's out of my control, and that's okay. I can deal with that. But if you're finding that you were doing it on a daily basis and you're feeling that level of stress daily, then I'm going to go into the internal stress. I feel like that's what you are going through. You're going through internal rather than external. You are making yourself see things and going through the whole process of the unknown. And that's what internal stress is. It is the unknown. It is putting yourself in a position that your brain goes through scenarios and there's an unknown factor there. That unknown factor causes you to think in a stressful way. It causes your body and hormones to start going in a different way than you would normally feel. That can be managed. And that can be managed again with knowing the triggers and knowing the outcomes. The outcomes are important. With external, and the outcomes are less important, because we know that when we manage our triggers and we understand them, then that management area will help that external. But internal, it's important to know the outcome, is to actually write it down, identify the triggers, and actually find out what the outcomes are going to be. And then the processes or steps to take in order to achieve that outcome. So when I talk about stress, I do talk about things that are happening within our lives, because that's where stress comes from. It's very, very rarely just sitting on the couch and not having anything happen around you and then a stressful situation occurs. It's very rare that it happens. Something has happened in a social aspect, something has happened in your past, something has happened in maybe in your future that you're thinking about, and that's what's causing the stress. It's identifying which one that is and then writing down the outcomes. So, looking at our social, maybe you've got a date coming up. Maybe you've got something that is happening on that date and you are thinking, I don't know if I should go through with this, and I'm getting stressed and I'm overthinking. Then this is what you write down. The stress there is internal. Maybe you're stressed because you think you are not good enough. So that's something you need to address. Maybe you're stressed because you don't think you look good enough. So that's something you need to address. Do you understand what I mean when I say internal is what you're looking at within yourself, and external is something to say, well, where is this date going to go? What is this date going to do? Now that external is, well, this, I gotta write it down. This is what they could be doing. This is what they might do. And how would I react to these? If they do ask me to go on another date, how I'll respond? Well, I'll know that in the situation. It's either a yes or a no, or this or that. And that's something that you find out while you're in the situation. But you still need to tell yourself that. It's something that you can put aside and say, well, I will dictate if I will go on another date with this person while I'm in this date, this first date. And that's something that you can write down and go, okay, well, that can be there. Now the next thing, well, who pays for it? Again, I can decide that, or I'll decide it now. I pay for myself. That is something that I hold to value. So I'm going to do that. So then you write that down. So they're the non-negotiables. They're the things that you were unaware of, you were unsure, and that's more of the external. The internal is definitely how you see yourself, how you're going through. You believe you're not good enough. You believe you're not pretty enough. You believe that you're not smart enough. And you start going through that negative self-talk that is just constant. And you need to identify, well, why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? Where does this come from? And that is a little bit more difficult because it is to do with the past. What have you gone through? Who has told you certain things? What have you experienced? And how you see yourself. This is important. To minimize that stress is to change the way you view yourself. I did a podcast on self-love. If you haven't listened to it or seen it, please go ahead and look at that, because this is what I'm coming back to. The stress that's internal is because our self-love is low. Our self-love could be better. We could be looking at it a little bit differently and thinking, well, if I love myself, that gives permission for others to show their love. And that's what the ultimate goal is. It's the ability to say, well, I don't deserve love. Everyone does. Everyone deserves their own love. To actually care and to love themselves. To appreciate who they are and to give permission for others to do the same. That's where we want to be in life. We want everyone to feel comfortable within themselves. And then go out there into the world. That's what we're wanting to do here. Like I said before, please go look at my self-love podcast, because that will help your internal stress. I guarantee you, if you do those things, you will feel better. I hope I was able to help with any stress that you might be going through. If you have any questions, please find me on Instagram, DM me there, Delta Motivation, DELTAR Motivation. I would much appreciate any questions, anything that you want me to talk about next time. Again, I would like to hear about it in my DMs. That's it, guys. Thank you so much again. Take care. I love you guys. Bye.